Okay, so let me go over to messaging, and I'll show you the keyboard. I don't know who this person is, so it's not a friend of mine, so you can do whatever you want with the number. So take a look at the keyboard, and it's actually a pretty good keyboard. It's one of the best keyboards I've used, and you know, if you're going to have a phone that's meant for social networking and for Facebook, you better have a pretty darn good keyboard, and it is. The keys are plastic. They're not, you know, rubbery at all. It's just plastic keys, which, you know, usually I don't like because they tend to be slippery. But with this keyboard, that's not a problem. You can see they're kind of raised, sort of in a bubble texture or bubble design. And then having island style keys really helps with you know, separation. My fingers don't slide as much because you do have that separation and kind of that wall there between each key. The keyboard is great. It's a portrait-style keyboard, you know, obviously. So if you have, you know, bigger hands or bigger thumbs, maybe a problem. But for me, it was great. The Quick Brown Fox wants to go swimming. So Quick Brown Fox wants to go swimming. Great keyboard. I can type. I typed a little bit slower, obviously, because I have a camera and a tripod in my way. But I can type just as fast as I want. You know, little to no problems. Now, you don't have a virtual keyboard. So far as I can tell, I've been trying to get one to come up, and I don't think you have a virtual keyboard. So the problem sometimes with physical keyboards is that the autocorrect functionality isn't as dominant because, you know, it knows that you're typing the keys, so it assumes that you know what you're doing. So if I type it's not going to put an apostrophe. It's not going to put an apostrophe for he's. That's one of the things that you have a physical keyboard. So because of that, there's no autocorrect, which, you know, may be a problem for me. Because the keyboard is so well designed, it wasn't a problem. I like the keyboard. It's great. Another great thing about it is that it has keys for comma, period, and question mark, which I think is great. You know, after using a lot of keyboards, you know, I noticed that the period key is one of those things that you'll generally get. Some of them don't have it, but generally you get a period key. Comma key, usually you have to push function to get to that. Sometimes you'll have a dedicated comma key, but usually it's function. Question mark, very rarely do you have a dedicated question mark key. So again, going back to the fact that it's a social networking phone meant for Facebook, so you're going to be doing a lot of typing, I think it's even more imperative to have your punctuation keys easy to get to, and so you have that comma or period, comma, question mark, and then you have this D-pad, which makes it easier to, if you have mistakes, you can just go back instead of having to tap your finger around until you get to the right spot. So that's nice. Overall, I love the keyboard. Also, right above the keyboard, you can see that HTC added these call buttons, which I don't think I've ever seen on an Android phone, for call and end. So kind of interesting there. Let's go back. So if we take a quick tour of the phone, it's very well designed. You know, HTC is known for having, you know, great hardware designs. Now it's mostly plastic, so these white parts, it's just plastic. You can hear this is the typical brushed aluminum that HTC uses, so it comes around the back, and then this whole front panel is also that aluminum. So build quality is right in the middle. You have, you know, very high build quality, but then you also have, you know, the plastic feel to it. On the top you have the power button as well as the screen lock and unlock button, 3.5mm headphone jack, nothing on the bottom. On the left side is the micro USB ports and the volume rocker buttons, and then nothing on the right side. On the back underneath, this is the battery cover, and it's impossible to get off. I'll try to take it off in the video, but it's not going to work, so I'm not going to try it. But underneath here is the battery. It also ships with a micro SD card. It ships with a 2 gig card, has 512 megabits of internal memory, 512 megabits of RAM. So the 2 gig card is going to come in handy. Now the problem is that you have to take off the battery cover and the battery to get to the card, and the battery cover is nearly impossible to get off. So that's going to be a little bit of a hassle, but again, you know, how many times do you take out your SD card? Battery is a, let me see, 1250 milliamp hour battery, and I've had excellent experience with the battery. I know HTC doesn't have the greatest track record when it comes to battery life, but I tested it out, you know, I used it, and then once I put it on standby, once I charged it and put it on standby, it lasted 3 days and it still had charge left. So excellent battery life, and then with use, it easily got me through a day. And that was with, I have this widget here, I have a weather widget, I have multiple widgets that will constantly update. This will constantly update. I have an email widget, friend stream. At the time I also had a messaging widget, and then of course I have notifications running in the background for email and Twitter, and of course Facebook. So, you know, a whole lot of stuff going on in the background, and the battery life was excellent. Easily got me through a day, so very impressive on that note. And then we have the camera. It's a 5 megapixel camera, autofocus of course. You can see it has a flash, and there's also a front-facing camera right here. Let me turn that on, that way you don't see the reflection of me, because no one wants to see that. So you have a front-facing camera, it's a VGA camera. This camera is a 5 megapixel camera. It took decent pictures. Color saturation wasn't the best. It performed, you know, 5 megapixel camera, that could go on either a mid-range smartphone like the Status, or it could go on a high-end smartphone, you know, something like the Incredible. This camera performed like a mid-range 5 megapixel camera. The color saturation wasn't great, and once you zoomed in, it got a little bit rough around the edges of the picture or the edges of the object. But overall, the camera was pretty good. Now, one of the things that I almost forgot to mention with this phone is that regarding HTC Sense, it does support HTC Hub. So if I go to skins, and we only have 2 skin choices here, so say I don't like them, you know, not every US HTC phone supports this feature, but if I go to get more, you can sign in. You have to create an HTC account, but you can download more skins from HTC Hub, or you can download more scenes. There's a couple of widgets, I believe, that you can download. So there's a lot of features that come with HTC Hub that, you know, again, not every you know, US HTC phone supports it, but this one does. So that's definitely a nice feature. Talking about widgets, there's one more thing that I wanted to mention about these widgets, is that you can only have 1 per screen, as you can see. It's only 1 per screen. So and you only get so many screens, so as you can see, if I go back here, I can't add any more screens. If I were to, say, delete this, then I'll be able to add a screen, but you only have so many screens, and then whenever all of these social widgets, you can only have 1 per screen. You can see how that could potentially be a problem. If you use a lot of widgets, then you know, that might be a problem. Now, of course, you can just, you know, use a page for icons or any personal widgets that you've downloaded. But that's, you know, going back to having a small display, you are a little bit limited in the number of widgets that you can use. If you're a big widget person, you like the full page HTC widgets, you're going to be limited. Keep that in mind as to how many pages you can add. So there it is, guys, the HTC Status from AT&T. It's a great phone, especially when you consider the price. Currently, I believe it's $50 on contract, which is super cheap. You know, it is a mid-range phone, but still for $50, that's a great price considering what you get. If you are a heavy social networking person or a person that loves Facebook, you're going to love the phone. The keyboard is excellent. So even if you don't use Facebook, just having a smartphone with a great keyboard, just, you know, even that makes it worth it. You know, I had some problems with, like I said, certain apps, you know, that only work in portrait mode. I'll let you decide if that's going to be a problem for you. But overall, you know, HTC Sense is beautiful, and HTC did a great job of really making it work on a small display. Just the little things like the lock screen, you can, you know, slide to unlock or drag an icon down. You know, just little things like that. Sense is one of the best UIs out there. And so the status did great. The processor kept up well, not a whole lot of lag. There was some here and there, which you're going to expect, but really it kept up pretty well. And then I got great 3G speeds with AT&T service. So I would definitely recommend the HTC Status. It is a great mid-range phone, and for the price, you'd be hard-pressed to get anything better. So check it out at your AT&T store. I'll be posting a written review of the HTC Status, and I'll include a few things I might not have been able to fit into the video review, so check out phonedog.com for that. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, my screen name is It's My Job to Know, so you can ask me a question. That's pretty much it. Thanks, guys, for watching. Keep it on phonedog.com for more news, updates, and reviews. I'm Sydney, and I'll see you guys later.